All right, we got pocket HD camcorders.
Yay.
We've both been playing around with these. You were like all over these today. You get excited about HD camcorders.
I have the Mino HD at home, and I use it quite often. So I was excited to get to see some other ones. I haven't played with these too much outside of the office.
So we've got the creative VadoHD. We just held up the flip Mino HD, and this is the Kodak Zi6. They actually have more in common than they have in difference in a lot of ways. They're all about $200 ready to use. They're super small compared to a regular camcorder, which also means they're kind of hard to hold steady, which is why you see so much shaky vision coming off of these.
Use your water-based monopod.
Yes, kind of the reason I started thinking about that. And they're all 720p, so they're basically 1280 horizontal by 720 vertical, 30 frames per second. The Kodak also adds in a 60 frame per second mode. All of them have 2x digital zoom, basically blow up pixels. It's not an optical zoom, which means meh. None of them are great in low light situations. They all love sun and bright light. The Kodak and the Flip both use H.264 video. The creative Vado actually does everything in AVI as it moves it onto your system. Now, something really cool about the Kodak, actually, having run out of batteries, sort of rechargeable batteries, is it will work with any set of AA's. Comes with a pair of rechargeables in the box, which is really nice. The Creative and the Flip both charge off of USB, and it's always helpful to hit the USB button instead of the power button. And you and I were arguing about this before. I actually like I think we referred to it as the wah-wah floppy USB connector.
Yeah, I like the one on the Mino a little bit better, just because I have mine on the Belkin elevator for laptops for my MacBook Pro. It just plugs right inside. It doesn't wobble around. It holds pretty steady. So it's always worked okay for me. Plus, I have a few external USB adapters that I can use as well if I need to. All
three of them really desperately need, especially if your USB ports are kind of in an out-of-the-way place, a USB extension. I actually like the floppy connector because I think it's less likely to actually damage your USB port.
True.
I also knew somebody who actually had somebody drop an Encyclopedia Britannica through something hanging out of their USB port and tear up their motherboard.
It's awful.
Yes, it was actually. They all include basic editing and updating tools. Well, let's start with kind of like the old hand of the industry. Pure Digital is the name of the company. The Flip HD is their latest pocket camcorder. Shiny black means fingerprints, which I am rallying against because I find it annoying. The tiny monitor, it's the smallest monitor of the three, which is kind of frustrating to shoot with. It also letterboxes your video, which really sucks when you're doing 720 16:9 video. 60 minutes record time and not a user replaceable battery, which means once you've got 60 minutes of video of this, if you're not traveling around with a computer, you're done shooting for the day.
I have to say though, I've had that particular device in my bag for probably 2 or 3 months, and I've not had to charge it once.
Yes.
Just to pull out and use for a couple minutes of video and, you know, download it somewhere. I haven't actually plugged it in and charged it for an extended period forever, and the battery is still like basically full. It's insane.
It's perfect for that. It's not so perfect if you're like going to Disneyland for the day.
True, right. I mean, then you're going to use up a lot more battery life and record time.
So the Kodak Zi6 sells for $155, which sounds really cheap. We'll explain why it's so cheap. It's the biggest of the three by a long shot. It's got a 2.4-inch LCD, which is awesome for shooting. It's much easier in the hand compared to the other two. It's a little big in your pocket. Lots of space in that case means it feels a little bit cheaper than the other three. So one of the other reasons the case is so big is because it's got an SD card slot. Now it'll take a 32 gigabyte SD card max, so it'll take a huge SD card, but it doesn't ship with the card. There's only 128 megabytes on board out of the box, which means you have 30 megabytes for video, which is 36 seconds of 720 video.
Why would they do that?
Well, because it makes it really, really cheap to buy in the store. And you know, like a 2 gigabyte, 4 gigabyte, 2 gigabyte card selling for like $9 to $20 depending on where you're shopping these days. Creative Vado HD, $230, kind of pricey. Very easy to use controls, a bigger monitor than the Mino HD, which is really nice. And it does HDMI out to your HD TV with an adapter cable that comes in the box. 2 hours of record time on board, which is nice. And like we talked about before, it does have a user replaceable battery, which is also nice.
So most importantly, what about the video quality?
All right, Flip Mino HD, best video of the trio. It's kind of the most nuanced, especially in dealing with exposure changes, like if you're, you know, going from the sunny part of the room to the dark part of the room. And the most true life color. The Vado and the Kodak seem kind of oversaturated, almost fake. Great job with audio, best of the three by far. The Creative Vado, almost as good as the Flip Mino HD video, and you were actually pretty excited about this. It's got a very flat lens. It kind of has the shortest lens of the bunch, so it's got the widest field of visions, which means like if you like to shoot inside of your car, this is your camera.
It's almost like a wide-angle lens
built
into it, for sure.
Especially compared to the Kodak. which has kind of the longest lens of the three. The Vado, the digital zoom, is unusable if you rack it all the way in, and it seems kind of slow. It seems like it needs a firmware update because it takes forever to adjust exposure from bright to dark to bright. And surprisingly, Creative is an audio company. The audio is the weakest of the three on this.
Really?
Yes.
Chroma key green.
We'll see what green looks like on each one of these cameras.
It's chroma key green.
We'll see what green looks like on each one of these cameras.
It's chroma key green.
We'll see what green looks like on each one of these cameras.
That's pretty shocking because I've always liked Creative audio devices.
Yeah, it's just, it seems like they just didn't.
Yeah, didn't mesh well in this one.
Kodak Zi6, the longest lens of the three. So if you're thinking outdoors, soccer, getting your whole, videotaping the kids a baseball thing on, best digital zoom of the three, and that's like being sort of the best of the, you know what I'm saying here. And the least accurate color, though, the audio feels kind of squashed. Not as bad as the Vado, but not as good as the Mino. So that said, if the flip is 100%, the Kodak is still like 80% of its video quality. The Vado's at 95%. I just wish the Vado's audio was better.
So which of the three would you carry around in your pocket to use day to day?
If, like, the Kodak is the most day at the amusement park friendly, if you want to record a whole bunch of video without having to constantly run to a notebook computer, the Kodak is your friend. Just keep throwing SD cards into it and AA batteries and you're good to go for hours and hours. The Flip is the best video, and if you want to have a camera on you to take that video of the celebrity instantly, this is your go-to camera.
And that is my ultimate goal.